Hey, good morning. Yes, it's Sunday. Can I have praise Jesus, right? Well, what I thought I'd talk about today, this morning, and you don't hear it too often when it comes to business people. And that's when you kind of get into like an overload. And you need to be able to recognize it. Okay? So, what am I talking about here? Stay tuned. So, welcome back, or welcome if you're new to the channel. My name is Eric. So, what doesn't get covered a lot when it comes to business is the amount of physical and emotional stuff goes into starting a business, maintaining a business, trying to maintain a business and a home life. You can either be in constant turmoil, chaos, or make some sense of it. And the sooner you make sense of it, the better it's going to be for you and the people around you. Now, we've all heard about how guys burn out. And that's part of it. Because they didn't recognize the physical and the emotional energy they were putting into. And it kind of equates to you get a full tank of fuel at the gas station. And you're going so hard and so fast to try to get to your destination that you forget to look at the fuel gauge. And then just short of your destination, what happens? The vehicle runs out of gas. It has no more energy to propel that vehicle any further. And that is kind of like how we are. Had we stopped along the way and filled the tank back up, we would have easily met and got to our destination as planned. You have to be able to take a full inventory of yourself at any given time. And usually, I'll be honest with you, it's the people around you that notice it before you do. And that's part of being aware of it, is listening to what other people are telling you. You're so used to doing it all yourself, handling the whole burden yourself of trying to get this business up and going, only to find out that you run out of gas when it was almost there and everything starts falling apart. It can also be you've been running a business for years and you haven't stopped to recharge those batteries for you EV people, electric vehicles, or put gas into the truck along the way. I think that's the biggest subject that I hear the least about from business people. It's like, well, we can't admit that we're weak. Well, who says you're weak? Are weak people the ones that can, talk about our own failings? I don't think so. Are weak people the type of person that won't ask for help from others? No, I don't think so either. A weaker person is one that feels that they cannot rely on anybody, and no matter what other people are telling them, they continue at the pace they're going, only to fall off the wayside. So how do we as business people, and this isn't just for we as business people, let's stop right there. You could be an owner, you could be an employee, you can be a spouse, you can be a child, a parent. We all have the same problems. It's how we address the problems that cause us to be different. If you start up a successful business and you're working 7 days a week, 16, 18-hour days, you're there before the employees get there, you're there well after the employees leave. If you have started a family, you're not present because you're too busy working. And I can guarantee you that after a short period of time, that you're going to start becoming resentful. And we don't want you there. And it's the same thing with anybody else. If they're doing something that is harmful to themselves, you need to stop now than later, because if you would continue doing it, you're not helping yourself. So let's dive into how do we recognize it. Okay. And then what's the answer? Well, we recognize it. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. You didn't realize how big that mountain was going to be. You just knew that you were going to succeed at climbing it. So you throw your pack on, you got your hiking boots on, and you start going up the mountain. And you start to realize that it has become more physical than you thought it would be. And you keep pushing yourself until you get to the point of where you have to stop and take a rest, or you'll never start again. So you take a 15-minute rest, and it kind of rejuvenates you a little bit, and you say, let me keep going. And as you go, the further you go, the more the rest stops get closer, because you're physically exhausted. And that's very much like starting a business. When you first start off, you're not really 100% sure of what it's going to take to get you up that mountain, that business. Some business owners do it very quickly. They have a little mountain and it's all clear sailing. But for most of us, it's quite a steep hill. And we know that we have to persevere, but we can't persevere if we don't stop and take a rest, right? Because if you don't stop and take a rest, you will end up stopping and never completing the task. And this is what I try to stress to people, no matter what you're approaching in life. No matter how big the task is, if you break it down, and you take care of yourself along the way. Get the rest you need. Get the fuel, the recharge on the way to your destination. Will make things so much easier. You know, they have type A and type B personality. Type A is just go, 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 go. And I'll be honest with you, that was me. I thrived in that environment. I thrive at a challenge. Where my mind starts to wander is when it becomes mundane to me, and I don't see any more challenge to it. But what I can tell you is if you don't recharge those batteries, you're never going to make it to your destination. And that can be physical, like climbing the mountain, emotional, because we all have stressors in life. Nobody's immune to it. That's why I always say, let kids be kids. Don't give them adult crap to have to worry about. And adults, don't talk about your issues in front of your kids and make it your kids' issues. Let them be kids as long as they can to enjoy a simple life. Okay? That's my one gift to you. If you're having marital problems, if you're having any of that stuff going on, do not do it in earshot of your kids. Never. So, with the physical part of it, we continue up that hill. But after a while, it's going to start affecting our emotional being and getting that out of whack. And you're going to start second guessing yourself. Thinking, I can't do it. And it starts to affect your mental health. See, I think a lot of issues that come about with mental health is we're just tired and we need a rest. That's it. And when I say you need a rest, I mean you physically need to take time for yourself. I'm not talking vacation where you load up the minivan with the kids and you go to Disney World and you wait in line, these long lines to get on the rides, and you're checking in and you're unpacking and you come home just to rest. That's not a vacation. That's not the vacation I'm telling you that you need to take. You know, whatever is causing a drain on you, you need to step away from. If the business is draining you dry, then you physically need to take a week away from it and recharge your batteries. And it's the same thing, you know, in almost everything in life, whether it be work, husband and wife, you know, issues draining you. You need to take a step back so you can recharge your batteries. Easy peasy, right? It's so easy, but yet so hard to do. I would say better than 80% of most business people will try and push through it versus taking a rest and not make it to their destination. There's a reason why only 10% of businesses that start up succeed. And it's because most people can't take an internal accounting of themselves, understand when they need to rest, refuel, rejuvenate, and then continue on. They just force themselves to keep going, keep going. And then you start to have not only your physical, it's now your mental health is being affected. Does that sound reasonable? Can I tell you a little story here? It's a few years back. I had just turned 20. I was 19 going on 20. And my wife and I had bought our first dairy farm. That would be the homestead. She already knew how to pace herself because she had grown up in that environment. I hadn't. I had gone to a 2-year college for ag, so that I was educated about the business. And I had worked for other people along the way. But I never knew what to look for and the do's and don'ts. And that, I think, is like a lot of people. They were never told or shown. But I wanted that farm to succeed. And as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I had actually started working a second job and then a third job because all I could focus on was my business on the farm had to succeed. And I hadn't set any end goals of what it was supposed to look like had I succeeded in the first place. So I didn't have any realistic goals to go for. I just looked at, this is what I have to get done today, and I only have so many hours to do it, but it still needs to get done. I couldn't look long term because I was so focused on what was happening as it was happening. And not only was it affecting my physical, the lack of sleep, physical exhaustion, now it was going over into my mental status of where I was having second thoughts, and teetering on depression and dealing with that. When all this could have been averted had I had somebody like what I'm trying to do with you right now, is tell you to take a rest. It's okay to take a rest. You have to take a rest. But the physical aspects of it got to a certain point of where, and I know many of you folks out there that are in business and maybe just other stuff that's where stress starts to come out. But it felt like I was having a heart attack when actually I was having panic attacks. I mean, my arm would go numb. I mean, just it was pounding in my chest. And I can remember going to the ER and the ER doctor doing an EKG and saying, everything looks good here, Eric. And then having to wear the holster with EKG leads to it for 24 and 48 hours. And it got to the point of I would literally just pass right out and fall over. Again, no one had told me. Had I rested and recharged my batteries and looked at the long game instead of just the short-term game, it would have been a better hill instead of a mountain to climb. You have to take time to rest. You have to take time to identify what is draining you emotionally and mentally and take a step back from it and just simply rest. Not give up, just simply rest. Does that make sense? Because I'm hopeful that by doing this, something that nobody had ever told me and I hardly ever see in any business course or online video of how to create and build a business, is the physical and the emotional side and the mental health side. They all talk about conquering and becoming wealthy and, my 4-step plan. If you want to succeed at anything you do in life, you need to have some form of an end game, and you need to take rest stops along the way to fill up the truck with gas or your EV with an electric charge, or you'll never make it to your destination. And I think if you apply this to anything in life in general, I don't care how old you are, I don't care what it is you're trying to tackle in life, if it's causing a mental and emotional drain, your body is telling you you need to take a rest. Step back from it. I think the biggest things going on right now, that's the biggest emotional and mental health drain, is our phone. Yeah. For a lot of you folks, it's the phone. For you kids, with your TikTok videos and Snapchat, and all, you're not taking a rest. You got the phone right next to the bed in the middle of the night. Your phone goes off and you're up watching TikTok videos until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then when it comes time to get up in the morning for school, you're tired. And sometimes you have to take a rest from that phone or that rest from the relationship. It doesn't mean you can't continue to have that relationship. It just means you need to take a break and recharge your batteries before it gets to a point of where the physical aspects start showing up. And that is, chest pains, feeling of gloom and doom, feeling of depressed, being depressed. There is a difference between depression and feeling depressed. Feeling depressed is sad. Okay, that's. But if you physically push your body to the extremes and your mental health can't catch up, you can fall into depression very easy, to the point of where your business could be successful. You could be happily married and have great kids and not see any of it because your body had been so drained over that period of time because you never took rest to recharge. And now you're probably going to have some expert help of a therapist or somebody just to kind of help bring you back. These are all the things that people in business don't tell you about. Okay? They can't sell you a program. They can't sell you on whatever crap they're selling you on if they tell you this side of the business. It's all of how successful they are. And what I find is with people, the louder they are, the more insecure they are. Okay? I mean, just look around. So on that note, you guys have a good Sunday. And if anything comes across, the most of what I want to convey to you is that you can achieve anything you want, but you have to recognize that you need to stop and rest along the way and recharge those batteries, or you'll never make it to your destination. All right, I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.